So this is a pretty disturbing story, however, it's not that surprising. Chinese ship accused of looting iconic World War II shipwrecks. Now, if you were not aware, there have been a ton of World War II ships that have been sunken, either by the Japanese to the Americans, British, or vice versa. They are everywhere. In fact, here's a map of it. Here's a global map showing all of the ships that have been sunken, destroyed, crashed, whatever you want to say. Any ship that's been destroyed during World War II right here on this map. Now, when I was looking at this map, I noticed there's a little vessel down here near Antarctica. What are you doing down there? You got caught. But again, we are going to be focusing on the Pacific in this region over here, because the ships that have been scavenged were down in the Indonesia region. So here's the actual metal on the ship.
Piles of metal, including artillery shells, on board a Chinese registered vessel. These are believed to be material taken from the undersea wrecks of 2 British battleships from World War II.
Dang.
Malaysian Coast Guards initially detained the
I'm going to assume that cat wasn't found on the ship.
ship for anchoring illegally. But the police and the Heritage Department are now investigating whether it was involved in looting the warships.
Okay, so I was curious, how much money do you actually make from scavenging a World War II ship or really some sort of shipwreck? And I found this article right here. Naval shipwrecks mean huge amounts of scrap metal with huge potential resale value. The sheer quantity of scrap metal on a naval ship means that a single wreck can be worth up to $1 million. The bronze propellers alone are worth tens of thousands of dollars each. However, just the fact, like, we're not just talking about regular metal. There's something called pre-World War II metal, and let's get into that.
Material from old warships, produced before the atomic explosions in the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in 1945, is highly prized. Pre-war steel, as it's known, is used to manufacture sensitive equipment, including radiation detectors.
Funny enough, when you go to the Wikipedia article on low background steel, they actually talk about the ships in the Java Sea in cases where World War II era shipwrecks in and near the relatively shallow Java Sea and western South China Sea that have been illegally scavenged. It has been suggested that the target is low background steel. Now, the ships that have been scavenged were actually British World War II ships, but it doesn't make a difference if it's British, American, or even Japanese. There's still an efficacy problem here, but let's look at this clip.
One of them is the HMS Repulse, built during the First World War. It was deployed to protect British colonies from the Japanese invasion during the Second World War. But just days after the bombing of the Pearl Harbor in December 1941, it was sunk, along with the battleship Prince of Wales, by the Japanese Navy. The 2 ships now lie deep in waters off the east coast of the Malaysian peninsula. The wrecks are considered war graves. Divers say the HMS Repulse is more accessible as it lies in shallower waters, but it has deteriorated in the last few years.
Now, here's what's even more crazy about this story. Not so much that China is scavenging these ships, like it's actually a known thing that they've been doing this, more so that the ship that's been caught, that ship has actually been caught before.
First time the Chinese vessel Chuanhong 68 has been in Malaysian waters. It was detained in 2017 for anchoring illegally and released after a fine was paid. But before that, the vessel was found scavenging from another shipwreck, according to the Indonesian Navy, and it moved to international waters before it could be detained.
Okay, so now we come to the whole efficacy problem. Remember, when I showed you that map of all of the ships that have been sunken all over the world, there's just no way that the British or Americans or Japanese can just monitor these ships and watch these ships. I mean, you almost have to hire independent contractors to protect the grave sites and protect the area of your lost assets. Now, at the end of the day, I don't think anyone cares about that steel. I think, again, this is an efficacy problem of this is a burial site for sailors who have lost their lives. And it's not necessarily that their bodily remains are there, but the way that it is in any naval component around the world is that your ship is your life. And I mean, a lot of sailors who've been buried at sea, they just dump them right overboard, but nonetheless, they are a part of that ship. That's sort of how it goes throughout all navies around the world. So what exactly can you do about this? Again, there's really not too much you can do other than try to hire independent contractors, because again, this ship was only caught under the basis of it was parked illegally, essentially. It was not anchored in a correct position. And then they realized there's a ton of steel on the ship, and they're like, whoa, this doesn't look right. But right here is a lawyer, a maritime lawyer, and he'll sort of talk about what you can and can't do in situations like this.
The lawyer says existing laws to protect such sites are sufficient, but enforcement agencies should find better ways to deter illegal salvages.
As far as surveillance is concerned, you can actually partner with diving organizations. You can also employ marine assets to be vigilant night and day to monitor the sea. And of course, you can also use drones, aerial drones, underwater drones to also see what's going on as well.
And I mean, hey, we do live in a drone era. Maybe Elon Musk will send some automated drones or automatic drones to patrol whatever areas. But again, there are thousands, tens of thousands of lost ships throughout the world. So I don't know exactly if we would ever be able to stop this problem. I mean, grave robberies has been a thing since the beginning of time. Even Egyptian graves have been scavenged, Roman graves, you name it, it's been done. Even in our modern era, it gets done. So again, efficacy problem here. I think we're just trusting that nobody would be as sick as to try and find some scrap metal, even though those are the remains of the fallen. And this almost reminds me of like Japan going into Arctic waters to go whale hunting, and then Western companies are trying to stop them, and Japan is like, hey, you know, we know that you guys think this is sick, but we're doing this for our people. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. This is sort of a sick story. It's not surprising though, because this has actually been going on for a long time now. It just so happens that this has been a little more public than recent. And when I say recent, there was an incident that happened about 2017, 2016, where an American submarine was actually scavenged in the same waters by the same people. So let me know what you guys think. Have you known about this? Have you not known about this? We'll see you later.